Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Thank you so much for being here. Fancy, fancy. Thank you so much for being here first. As a matter of fact, thank you for everything. You're very kind and very thoughtful. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, who else is here? V. Morgan, BS Speaks Royally, Connie Bomber. Hey, Connie Bomber, Fancy Fancy is here. Yeah, I just mentioned that. Janice Goodrich, Sharon Chung, and a whole bunch of other people. Kathy. Okay. Okay. So, Harry and Meghan, UK. I don't know what else to call it, so I'm just going to say Harry and Meghan, UK. Um, Although you should know that a few of the squatties have cautioned us that this is not a permanent thing. Um, at the most, they'll probably live between the two places and occasionally go to Portugal, since that seems to be one of their favorite places. I'm not saying that they have a property there. I really don't know. I have not seen proof or evidence. So until we know better, they like Portugal, and that's all to it. So, as far as we know, they have the one property, the Montecito Manor. And you know what they say about Montecito? There are no leaks in Montecito. It just isn't. There are no leaks there. All of the leaks are coming from the other houses of Windsor, as they often do. Okay? All right. So, that being said, let me get back over here. Oh, I just need to take that away. Wonderful. So, let me go to the next one here. One of the squatties posted that I'm back, people. I'm back. You know, I'm having fun with this. Do not take that to mean that I'm um, glad about it like anybody else. I am a bit nervous and I'm trying to make sense out of it, but I like to give the Sussexes the room that they need to make their own grown decisions. They are grown adults. They are the age of majority and then some. And so I'm sure they have a good reason. And I noticed that no one just wants to accept that it's about the kids in school. And so let's say that it's not just about the kids with their education, but that is what they said they were pursuing, is school enrollment for the kids. But there's something so obvious, and that is that uh, anything could happen in the future. And I do mean anything. And that being said, let's say there is a call for Archie or Lily to be a council of state, or perhaps the call comes through that, God forbid, that they should ever have to take the throne. And it would be very awkward for them to have the American culture so deeply ingrained. And I know I'm just like really reaching this time when I say this, but um, I believe the Sussexes would like to infuse them with their heritage. And while there is a heritage for the Raglan side of the family, that's not the one that's likely to um, play as important role globally speaking as the Mountbatten-Windsor side for obvious reasons. So being visible, not invisible, but being visible, being present and accounted for may make a difference in the future. And even though we may have certain feelings about it now, um, some of us are not going to be here when they marry, when they go to university, or whatever the case may be. Some of us, frankly, will not be here. And so by the time they reach the ages of 30 or 40, I believe it would be to their advantage, possibly to their advantage in the future, that they culturally are British and American. I believe that they're equally important. And so if they're here all the time in the US, then they're not going to pick up the subtle um, cues, the subtle languages and differences and such that they would if they were actually there. Like myself, I'm a complete Anglophile, not a monarchist, obviously, but an Anglophile. And that, of course, is someone who is fascinated the British culture, the Anglo British culture. And that's something that I've kind of pursued since I saw a movie called To Sir with Love, right? That's when I got hooked. Or was it 007? Whatever the case is, it's always been my dream to go to the United Kingdom. And I've had a chance to do that on at least maybe 5 occasions, something like that. So, and it was everything I needed it to be, especially Scotland. Scotland um, definitely exceeded all of my expectations. So I should not know or see more of the United Kingdom than Archie and Lily. Does that make any sense? Now, listen, I'm not trying to win anybody over, but I'm just trying to explain my feelings about why this may be very important for their future. I've been to, of course, London and Brighton and gosh, where else? Did I go to Blackpool? No, I don't think I went to Blackpool. But um, Manchester, Birmingham, Liverpool, York, Bampton, and of course the Blenheim Palace and Castle Howard and just like a bunch of places. Some of them were day trips, like going to Bath. I took 2 trips to Bath. Um, very, very cool. But I should not see more of the UK than those children. And so far, I have. I haven't spent as much time as Archie, but I've seen way more of it than either of those kids combined. And that should not be. I was just thinking about that the maybe yesterday, and I'm like, gosh, I spent a lot of time there. So they need that. They need that exposure. And I think that the best answer quite often is the first answer, and that is it's about the children. Not that they specified that, but that it's about the children. So I hope that has been helpful. Um, but listen, if you are in your feelings about it, do not let me change your minds. Kathy G, thank you so much for 55 months membership. That is outstanding. Well, we are in for a ride. We ride at dawn. That's right. That's right. We ride at dawn. I forgot how that goes, but that is is it something about burning bridges? We ride at dawn. Okay. I'm trying to see where did that come from. Anyway, I know what it is. I just can't remember it. Something something. We ride at dawn. Them there are fighting words. I bet I have it. I bet I have it. Ah, there we go. You know what? I'm going to share it with you since you brought it up. I cannot believe how fast and efficient I was able to find this, but gosh, I have been at it for a while, right? So let me do this, and I will show you. Okay, you ready for it? Here we go. Ha! There it is. If standing up for yourself burns a bridge, I have matches. We ride at dawn. Hello. If standing up for yourself burns a bridge, I have matches and we ride at dawn. So there you go. Thank you, Kathy G. All of a sudden, I am feeling empowered. I just got me a brand new box of matches. Yeah. And what I've learned, you haven't time to learn. These boots are made for walking, and that's just what I'll do. And one of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you. Are you ready, Boots? Start walking. Okay. Um, so Harry must pay millions. Oh, really? Is that right? Harry must pay millions. Well, of course, leave it to the Daily Mail, the same people that were the business end of that lawsuit. Leave it to them to misrepresent the idea of Harry having to pay. Um, Turns out that that's not the case. Not really. I mean, yes and no. Um, there are several people who made it very clear that there is an insurance policy, which I didn't know about that before. I didn't know about that until this particular case. But there is an insurance policy where it covers X amount of dollars should the judge rule in the defendant's favor, which is exactly what happened. And so, because of that, then, well, anyway, take a look at this here. 1 week to pay, right? The 9.5 million pounds initial sum must be paid by the claimants by 4 p.m. on August 28th. Legal expert Colin Campbell, is that that Colin Campbell, told Sky News the payment is fully insured, so the claimants will not individually be having to put out their hands in their pockets. Put their I'm sorry, who wrote this? The individuals be hey anyway, they don't have to go in their pockets for the money. That is very poorly written. But oh, Elaine Parker, thank you so much for the super sticker. And as always, thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Okay. Oh, you have some? I want some of those. I want some of those. I tried to get just the matches and they wouldn't give them to me. I have to make a purchase. So I may have to get one of those. My favorite candle, I think it's the 519 because I want some of those. I've never had the long sticks like that before, but if I get them, I'm going to use them. You're very strong. I get them, I'm going to use them. So yeah, anyway, the payment is fully insured, so the claimants will not have to individually go into their pockets to pay anything. Not yet, anyway. Um, I believe that this is probably the final outcome, but the tabloids just do not want there to be any closure. It seems like they're trying to drag it out as long as possible. So Harry's personal financial liability potentially run into millions of pounds out of his own pocket, while the High Court treats the claimants as a collective group. The ultimate financial impact on the Duke of Sussex depends heavily on how the group splits the uninsured deficit or whether they appeal. The exact likelihood and certainties of his liability break down as follow. Number one, immediate certain liability, the interim payment, right? And then the High Court ordered the group to pay an immediate 9.54 million pounds to the Associated Newspaper Limited by August the 28th. The one more time. The insurance cushion, this initial amount is completely covered. Are you listening to that? It is completely covered by the group's 16.2 million pound collective after the event, the ATE legal insurance. So it is completely covered. I repeat, what was required by the judge, who doesn't seem to be on the up and up as far as I'm concerned, what was required? How much was it? It was 9.54 million pounds. And the insurance policy, 16.2 million pounds. That means they got some money left over. Now, one of the things I looked at, let me see, the catch, because the insurance will be completely drained by this initial payment and future cost proceedings, Prince Harry will not face an immediate out of pocket bill this week, but his safety net for the rest of the bill is essentially gone. Now, that seems to come from The Guardian, but is that really true? You know what I'm saying? That's why I said they don't seem to want to let it go. They don't want to believe that they're going to make this payment and that there may be some surprise later on. I don't know if there's like, this immediate payment and then they got to pay something else. Also, they have lawyers, but if I'm to understand that part of it, where did I see that? The judge ruled the claimants must pay on a indemnity basis a punitive court designation reserved for unreasonable conduct. This removes typical budget cap and allows A&L to pursue a higher possible recovery. So I think that's what they were saying, but I'm pretty sure even that has its limitations. But listen, you guys, Doreen Lawrence is probably the least likely to afford any parts of this. And so don't worry about her. I'm pretty sure that Harry's not going to leave her on the hook for anything. Her testimony was very important. She was like the extra collateral that they needed, considering how terrible the tabloids, the Daily Mail, how terrible they were to the Lawrence family. So they thought for certain that if anyone could come across as a credible witness, then it would be, of course, Baroness Doreen Lawrence. But as things turned out, the judge did not seem impressed. It's interesting how Harry could win two other court battles um, for, phone hacking and such. But then when it comes to this situation, everything was just a complete, wash. Like the judge had a vested interest in washing the world's hands of this intrusion into the way the Daily Mail conducts business. So take from that what you will. I think it's a nasty bit of business, and the world is a more cynical, sarcastic place because of the Daily Mail, among other papers. But the tabloids do not appeal to the best of what the world has to offer. Instead, it's like um, the lowest common denominator is the way that these tabloids carry on. There's nothing good about them. Everything is sensationalized. Everything is designed to create engagement, which of course becomes revenue. So, okay. Well, I guess we know who's celebrating. Somebody may have decided to give up their natural curly hair. Oh Lord, nappy head. Maybe he's gonna come back with some dreadlocks or something. I think that this racially ambiguous owner of the uh, gossip rag, the Daily Mail, I bet he'd look pretty cool with some, you know, with some of those locks. And maybe we'll get him a bonnet so that his hair won't get ruined in his sleep, right? Just picture him with a bonnet on. Or if he wants to put on a wave cap, I bet you he can get some good waves out of his hair. If he wants to put on one of those wave caps, we'll get him a good stiff brush and some type of pomade that'll, really make his hair lay down. Um, I bet you look pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah. And as far as I know, um, that racially ambiguous tabloid owner, it's about time that he gets in touch with his people. He's been hiding behind his privilege. He's been hiding behind his privilege for too long. It's time for him to come out as a black man. I think it's time. Yeah, don't be Tom Jones. Just come out and say what you are and mean what you are, and then we'll all move on in due time. Okay. But that's why they call it the Daily Veil. Now, this stuff is so ludicrous and untrue. I find it amazing how obsessed people still are and how many lies get written. The idea that Meghan wanted to be a senator is so ridiculous. Do you guys remember that? Um, well, earlier today, uh, James Holt decided to share that with his followers again. You see there, the true scale of Meghan and Harry's U.S. political plan revealed from requests for Biden Oval Office meeting to eyeing Senate seat. Now, that whole thing about Meghan becoming the senator from California, that is kind of old news, but apparently the New York Post decided to talk about that again. Um, Megan's been around long enough to know that there is a hierarchy, there is a pecking order within the state governments. And if for some reason, um, if we lose a United States senator, there's two from every state of the union. If we lose one, then the governor of that state can just simply appoint one. But I don't know that the friendship from Meghan and at the time, I think it was Justin Trudeau. I don't think they were that close. They were never that kind of close. It would have to be someone within the um, the party that has been considered as a future senator from that state, which exactly mirrors what happened to um, Kamala Harris. Before she was vice president, she was a senator from the great state of California. So there you have it. There you have it. There's no way that they would say, oh, you know what, Meghan, based on your popularity and your ability to cause members of the royal family to pull patches of their hair out, why don't you be the senator from California? It just doesn't work like that. So, but they print these things. I'm not so bothered by the fact that they're lying. The intent behind the lie, and that is to create a hostility against Meghan and or Harry, that is what bothers me. Is because even though I can just say as plain as day that it's not going to happen, that it's not even a consideration, I can also say that for anyone who is the subject or the focus, should I say, of a lie like that, it is going to cause hostility, unnecessary hostility from people that don't even know you. And that's why that is hurtful to me. That's why I feel like there's a potential of danger because remember that guy back in 2016 who wanted to save the kids from the pizza restaurant was it in Washington? And he runs in there with a double barrel shotgun. Where's the kids? Where's the kids? I'm coming to rescue the kids. His fragile mind heard the conservative commentators and these wannabe dictators. They heard them over and over again saying that there's a secret and they're trafficking and it's in the basement of the pizzeria and there was just it just wasn't true. But what if that person would have went in there and harmed someone? God forbid. So yeah, that's why it's not good to let these lies just um, float out into the environment like that because you never know who's going to be the next person to try to rescue someone. So I don't like it. It makes me very uncomfortable. Okay, let me see. By Felton, where are you going? Is it nighttime for you? Bedtime? Hi, Deborah Anderson, Compton Cali gal. Marjorie Austin, very nice. Cookies and cream. And Antoinette Kennedy, nice, very nice. Okay, anyway, James Holt is already over in the UK. Don't forget that he said he was leaving and that he was going to spend more time with his family in the UK. Well, makes you wonder, was this already in the works? Because for certain, James Holt is someone the Sussexes trust a lot. And also, whenever they would go on those foreign tours, who was right there by their sides? James Holt. So this guy uh, has done a huge amount of work where the Archwell Philanthropies, um, am I saying that right now? Is it Archwell Philanthropies? And before it was Archwell something. But anyway, um, Archwell Foundation. That's reckless, dangerous journalism, fear mongering. Here, here. I totally agree with that. And I, for one, have had enough of it. Okay, and then there's this Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, which is what I want them to put on the marquee. Um, Meghan Markle eyed for a role in Guy Ritchie, The Gentleman Netflix series. Yeah, they now listen, you guys. It is not a sure thing. First, they have to figure out how can we incorporate a very well trained actress, but now there's the weirdness of trying to weave someone who is so well known by so many people around the world. How do you, you know, how could you do that? I mean, would Megan have enough time to develop a character and make that character believable without us seeing Prince Harry on his wedding day gazing at Megan? Mm, I don't know. I don't know. As much as I would love to see Megan, I don't want um, any exposure that will give um, the poets a chance to not the poets. What am I saying? The critics a chance to try to demolish her. So yeah, that's concerning for me. But I would love to see her in something. So we'll see. But Deadline reports Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, is being eyed for a role in Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman Netflix series. Everything is in the early stages and hypothetical at the moment. It's in the very early stages. So we have to wait and see if there's a green light. Okay. Let's be cautious. Now, Muriel reported this, and I'm just like, oh my God, give it a rest, you guys. Give it a rest. What will happen to Meghan and Harry's dogs when they return to the UK? Um, I don't know how to tell them this, but Harry and Meghan are quite well off. They'll figure it out. Yeah, that's how you work it out. You just do. And just in case there was a language barrier, they also have it in French. Que vous te il arrivederci. Um, chain of fools. The Megan et. Megan and Harry, a lower retour. Oh, it rhymes. La retour ou rayon polyester uni. There you have it. I am practically, um, you know, I am practically what do you call it? Fluent. Yes, I am practically fluent. I'm conversational in the French language. Also, I think I may have bitten the inside of my cheek a couple of times, but I digress. I think I may have cut the inside of my cheek a couple of times while I was trying to get it out, but it doesn't matter. We got there in the end. That's all that's important is that we made it there in the end. Now, Harry and Meghan's security officials will consider armed protection. I repeat, Harry and Meghan's security. Officials will consider armed protection. So, not their security, but Meghan and Harry's security as a topic or subject. And then, of course, officials will consider armed protection. So, this is major. Now, that is coming from the Times and the Times Sunday that they say that maybe, not for certain, but maybe there will be a consideration for armed protection. And you know what? Maybe that was in the works all along, and they just did not want to come out and say it. Maybe they want to try to do these things in increments so not to upset um, the very fickle uh, um, people that you know are just waiting for the a report on the expense. Now we heard about £5 million a year would be the running cost of their security. And then if you're wondering why is it so much more expensive than the Duke of York, well, the Sussexes will travel from time to time. Harry for travel lists and all his other responsibilities, and then whatever Meghan needs to travel for. Like that time, what was that? She went to Kentucky and gave that speech or whatever. So yeah, if they have to travel, I mean they will, but um I could not imagine that the dogs would be in another country without the uh oh, okay. All right, let's see. Let's go on to the next thing. Was said, I suspect the family will have armed protection because I don't think Harry would move them back to the UK without it. I'm I'm feeling that way too. But I feel like they're trying to ease this into existence. That's what I believe. I believe that they're trying to do it by increments, like talk about it one day and do it, or go a little closer the next day, and so on. Yeah, so we'll see what happens, but I hope they do get it. I think it's just disgusting that it has become such a hot button issue. And what's really pathetic is that the public wouldn't be any wiser about it if they did not, um, I guess, yeah, if they wouldn't have made it a thing. But once you make it a thing, then people can't stop looking at it, right? So there you go. Uh, and Gormley, thank you so much for being here. So this guy, he had a thing to say. So I'm going to play a sound bite, and as usual, what are we going to do? We're going to talk about it on the other side. I'm going to play the sound, and then we will talk about it on the other side. Okay, let me see if I can find him. You would think after all this time I would have a better system, but I find it charming. Oh, there we go.
It is fucking mental. They have lost their.
Okay, now that was a little. That ain't the one. Is this it? No, no, no. Well, you know what? I kind of think maybe that was it. I just don't remember that part of it. So, well, he's already dropped the F bomb, hasn't he? Where did I leave that? Let me take a look because he made such a great point, and I do want to share it. So, we might have to deal with the F bomb. But let me see. Mm, yeah, I guess that was it. So I do apologize in advance, but here goes. I just don't remember it being that long. That sounded weird, didn't it? I just don't remember. That sounded weird. Okay. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, here goes.
They have lost their collective minds over the news that Prince Harry and Meghan are moving back to the UK. And since the Telegraph broke the story on Wednesday evening, the coverage has been an unrelenting wall of negativity and attack. Daily Mail columnist Amanda Platel wrote that if Harry imagines he'll just swan back into Britain and all be forgotten and forgiven, then he is in for a rude awakening. Forgiven for what, Amanda? Moving house? Harry and Meghan, as you know, have decided to move back to the UK. Their two young children, aged 7 and 5, are enrolled in British schools for September. They are not returning to royal duties. They will not live in a royal residence, and they've asked for a private life. That is the entire story. Two small children are about to start school in a country whose biggest newspapers declared war on their parents before the family had even packed. 1 week ago today, Professor Jason Arday was found dead at the age of 41, 9 days after he resigned from Cambridge, following weeks of articles about his academic work and his personal life over allegations he denied. His family says he was subjected to a campaign of sustained abuse for more than 3 years, and that the campaign and misinformation was too much for a gentleman who wanted to see the best in everyone. They have told us plainly what they believe the coverage did to him. 1 week later, as if Jason's death never happened, the same papers have gone straight back to the same behaviour, aimed at the same woman they have tormented for over a decade. A Sun column dreaming about Meghan being paraded naked through the streets while crowds threw excrement at her became the most complained about article in the history of the British press regulator. She won a privacy case against the Mail's publisher. Harry won against the Mirror over phone hacking. And hanging over all of it is Harry's mother. Diana was pursued by photographers on the night she died, and the vitriol now aimed at his family feels like a continuation of exactly what befell her. Her son has spent his adult life telling us he is terrified of history repeating itself, and the British press has spent this week proving his point. Public figures are fair game for scrutiny, and Harry and Meghan can be criticised like anyone else, but they have been gone for 6 years. And what happened this week is a coordinated, profitable campaign of hatred over a house move. Days after a family begged the country to understand what relentless coverage can do to a person, the same industry looked at the couple moving home with their children and reached for the same weapon. They have learned nothing, because learning nothing is entirely the press business model.
Okay, I told you it was worth the F bomb. Um, you know what? I could do better than that, right? I can do much better than that. I could do this. Now, I believe his name is Jack Dart. Dart. Jack Dart. And he had a thing to say. I like him. I really like him. He had a thing to say. Mm, Let's see. The Telegraph says perhaps the rift with the rest of the royal family has been healed, but is it is quite a leap to go from the thorn in the side of the British monarchy to a very private citizen of the same nation you've been bad mouthing across the world. Sorry, but I don't buy it for a minute. The Sussexes have got as much chance of coming home for good as the World Cup, but they don't want to come home for good. Why don't they get that through their thick skulls? They don't want to come home for good. They are just passing through. It's something about rich people. They tend to have more properties than most of us. And as such, they can holiday here, summer there, winter over here, and, you know, by spring, they're doing it all over again. Huh. Oh, well, as the gentleman just said, it is a feeding frenzy. It is, it is guaranteed to make a lot of money. And it's just unfortunate that billions of dollars are being created from this hostility and hate campaign. And I believe Meghan sees so little of it. And if she's going to be at the center of the storm, I I do hope that she can somehow earn something from the trouble of it because it is it is something to consider that for the rest of your life you're going to require armed protection. Harry doesn't like Meghan to even go to like the little downtown area or shop in the high street there in Montecito. She always has someone with her. So he doesn't necessarily have someone with him all the time, but she does. But then again, I take that back because just about everything I've ever seen, his the guy that came over with him is usually he shadows him just about everywhere. So yeah, he does. So but okay, let's move on. So this right here, service beyond the battlefield. Prince Harry, actually the Archwell Philanthropies, they dropped a bunch of photos. So I combined those with some other photos that also came from the trip to Arlington National Cemetery and also visiting with some wounded, sick, injured veterans and perhaps soldiers, enlisted soldiers. But either way, this is Harry at his best. There he is at that round table. And these are some of these are photos that were curated by Archwell. So I would say most of these I have not seen as of yet. I saw some of them late last night, and then today it was like, oh, look at there. So this past week, Harry visited Washington, D.C. to meet with American veterans, caregivers, and members of the military community. He was hosted and invited by Sarah Berardo, CEO of the Independence Fund, a nonprofit dedicated to improving the lives of veterans and their families. So, you know what? When they say that Harry doesn't have enough sense of purpose in the US, I wonder exactly how many things that they have been invited to, and for whatever reason, they did not attend. I mean, Harry was in Washington, D.C. We don't even know how many days he was there. This is Friday. So we don't even know how long he was there. There was no fanfare, there was no announcement, none of those things. Harry taking care of business. Let's see. This is from the social media of Arlington National Cemetery. Now, there are several national cemeteries around the country. The most famous of them, of course, is the Arlington National Cemetery. There's one in Chicago called the Bohemian National Cemetery. And I do believe that that has something to do with the Czech community, the Bohemians from Eastern Europe. So anyway, on August 19th, 2026, Prince Harry participated in a public wreath laying ceremony at the tomb of the unknown soldier at Arlington National Cemetery. He also visited section 60 and 57 of ANC, um, which of course is Arlington National Cemetery, where he paid his respects at a grave sites of service members and met with their families. Office of Army Cemeteries and Army National Military Cemeteries Executive Director Karen Durham, is it Aguilera, hosted the visit. So um, sit back, let me show you what I have. Now, you all know that Harry's been to Arlington National Cemetery before when he had that solo tour of the US, when he went to the Wounded Warrior Games and got the idea for the Invictus Games from there. One of the places that he had to go was to the National Cemetery. He insisted upon it. As a matter of fact, he even made a visit to the grave of John F. Kennedy and laid flowers. So this is not his first time actually at a wreath laying ceremony. And for you guys that are non Americans, you should notice that the wreath laying service is a little different in that it becomes a very intimate act between the dignitary and a uniformed Marine officer. And so you're not doing it by yourself. You are actually with a member of the military. I think it's usually the Marine and the guy on with the black. I believe he is perhaps from the Army. And this is also where they have that changing of the guards at the National Cemetery, at the Arlington National Cemetery, where you can see them do that thing with the rifles spinning and, all that. It's a very, very interesting ceremony. And it's very quiet. It's usually very quiet, very dignified. And of course, Harry is wearing his medals. Each medal represents one of the Jubilees. So I believe he has three Jubilee medals and one that he has for the Afghanistan. So he has an Afghanistan medal, and then the others are the ones that he earned for his participation with the Jubilee. So every royal family member receives those medals. There's Harry very solemnly walking down the steps toward the wreath laying, and you can see the Americans with their hands over their heart. I don't know what music they were playing at the time. It may have been the Star Spangled Banner, but I mean, this is what Harry is made for. This is what he trained his whole life for. He is a soldier and a patriot through and through. Unlike his brother, who seems like he has a plane to catch, this is something that is so sacred to Prince Harry. And let's notice how the tabloids do not highlight this at all. Let's hold our breaths, collectively hold our breath, And notice how that they are not going to acknowledge this in the least bit. This whole thing about that Harry and Meghan are through in the US, are you serious? Have you taken a loss of your senses? Are you serious?
I am Sergeant Wind of the 3rd Infantry Regiment, United States Army. The ceremony that you are about to witness is the changing of the guard.
There you go. So that is going to be seen by so many people. Anyone who follows the Arlington National Cemetery on social media will see this. When I tell you that Prince Harry is absolutely adored in the military here in the US, trust and believe. Don't know nothing about his brother, but Harry, they get him and he gets them. So pay no attention to that nonsense that they're spewing out of their little filthy mouths. Um, and that huge block of um, marble, that is the actual tomb itself. I cannot recall whether there is a soldier from every declared war or if there's, yeah, I believe there's one for Vietnam, Korea, and the two world wars, maybe. I don't recall how many people are actually there. But I do believe that there was one soldier. Somehow they had managed to identify that soldier, and I believe that the family took custody of his remains. I think it was at this cemetery. And there's Harry having some alone time. Harry, as last time, he spent some time at the cemetery in meditation, in prayer, pondering whatever was going on with him. But he usually takes that time for himself. So it says here he began his trip at the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, the top United States military hospital, where he met recovering service members and medical staff, having previously toured the hospital in 2013. The visit offered an opportunity to see firsthand how advanced the rehabilitation research and technology are helping wounded, injured, and sick service members rebuild strength, independence, and confidence. Uh, don't worry, I have some photos of that too. Um, let's see, Walter Reed uses sport medicine model to support service members living with limb loss, polytrauma, and other severe injuries with the goal of helping them return to active duty or achieve greater functional independence. Wow, what a touching moment this is. And you know, every let's see, I believe it's Memorial Day and Independence Day. There are volunteers that goes to every headstone and places one of those American flags. And you can see how emotional Harry gets when he's doing anything with the families or the soldiers or visiting these cemeteries. And I do believe that that is the lady that invited him for this event. Veterans Day. Thank you. Veterans Day. Thank you so much for that. I wanted to say Labor Day, and I said, no, that's not right. Look at there. Look, look, look. Harry has somebody's dog that's come over to say hi. That may be an emotional support companion that is maybe lives there at the hospital. Huh. Very cool. Aren't these some great photos? You're welcome. Okay, she's doing those balance beam things. Looks like she has a prosthetic leg. Imagine that you're at Walter Reed, you're going through physical therapy, and enters Prince Harry. Enters Prince Harry. I just do not see his brother taking time to do things like this. He wouldn't see the sense in it. There's no way he could make sense out of this. What comes naturally for some people is a huge chore for others. No crap. There I was at the DCV's, what is that? DC Veterans Administration Medical Center. Okay, I think that's it. Walked into the clinic hoping to get an appointment, and right behind me walked in Prince Harry. He was touring the facility. Very cool guy. Truly a pleasure. What? What? I thought that, I mean, well, see, that's Prince Harry, and I thought Americans were, aren't we supposed to be angry at him for whatever reason? Aren't we supposed to hate him for standing up for his family? I mean, read that again. There I was at the whatever, walked into the clinic hoping to get an appointment, and right behind me walked in Prince Harry. You couldn't make that up. Whoa, won't she have some stories to tell the family? And then, of course, there's the big group shot. And I don't know if you can tell, but that's light-skinned Harry in the background there. You see him? He's able to come to the picnic. They'll let him come to the picnic. Yeah. No raisins in a potato salad, please. He's allowed to come to the picnic. And there's a close-up. I tell you, between him and Afro Annie, I don't know who gets invited to the barbecue first. I really don't know. But light-skinned Harry is here to stay. Happy, moisturized, rested, tanned. He's got it all. Now, oh my goodness, I'm just so torn up about this. Oh, you know what? Let me go back here for a second. I got just a little bit of this left. Yeah. So while touring the facility, the Duke heard from doctors, hospital staff, and researchers in biometrics, osteointegration, and occupational therapy, and saw firsthand how their innovations are changing the lives of wounded service members. Their in-house fabrications abilities are best in class, quickly serving their patients and sometimes designing and fitting a brand new prosthetic in under 4 hours. That is outstanding. I didn't think that could be done. The Duke met with wounded service members and veterans, completing physical therapy from the United States and Ukraine. Oh, they had some Ukrainians that were there, reflecting on the exceptional care and camaraderie they have experienced at Walter Reed. Yeah, whenever you hear Walter Reed, that's where the presidents go for their physical therapy. But listen, it's a kind of a long thing. So I'm going to take this link and I'm going to put it here and I'm going to give you guys some homework. There you go. And I'm going to pin that to the chat because that's what I do. I pin it to the chat. Cat Harlem said, Cat Harlem, it's been a while. Hello, Baron and Squatties. Have a great weekend. You too. Have a great weekend. And thank you for stopping by. And thank you for being a member of Royal Sussex. Okay. I just love a great story like that. And then there's this spot of bother. They've barely heard from him in months. Fear grows for Eamon Holmes' health as insiders reveal why his son is now managing his affairs, how GB News bosses are panicking, and what is his co-host, and what his co-host is privately telling friends. Well, it looks like Eamon is in a lot of trouble, and that's unfortunate. That being said, I think he was totally rude to the Duchess of Sussex, and I think it is unforgivable that he referred to her in one of the most racist terms possible. He called her uppity. I think James O'Brien was trying to remember who used that term in reference of Meghan. Well, I just told you it was Eamon Ironside Holmes. Yes, the man who has the idea that he is going to audition for the reboot of Ironside, that is a wheelchair bound detective, that he might actually audition for that. And you know what? I wish him the best, whatever is going on with him. But if I was him, I'd get right with my maker and try to be a nicer person. Repent, heathen. There's more to this? Are you serious? Well, who in the world? I mean, what monster at the Daily Fail seems to believe that there is more to this? Oh, God, that one. That's the monster. Yes, that Oompa Loompa, um, bulbous head, broad back reporter. Yes, Rebecca Big Back English. Rebecca Big Back English. She's the one who is going out of her way. You're welcome, Cookies and Cream. She's the one who's going out of her massive cranial way to try and discredit and put down the Sussexes. I read the entire column and it stinks. Some in royal circles who have dealt with the Sussexes tell me they fear there is more to this than we know. Writes, guess who? Rebecca English. Whenever Rebecca English is called in, that means that something has gotten out of hand and she is used to set the pace of the royal rota. That is her function. Now, I don't say for sure that she is the one who is in charge of the royal rota, but until I know better, she's the one who's in charge of the royal rota. Yeah, and she can be quite messy. She always comes across as so non-threatening and congenial, but believe me, She is an absolute beast. And to think that she used to call Prince Harry a friend. Let me see. Now, there is an alter ego for her. There is the classic low center of gravity kind of pear shaped reporter. And then there is the queen of the Oompa Loompas. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. There is the queen of the Oompa Loompas. Underneath that somewhat pink, fleshy, peachy complexion beats the heart of a a practically non entity, but yet at the same time a major influence. Yeah, once you see it, you cannot unsee it, can you? Yep, there it is, Exhibit A. The Oompa Loompa, the queen of the Oompa Loompas. Oompa, oompa, loopity dum. Dun 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 dun. If you are told to go after a prince, she will follow instructions. uh, anyway, folks, Rebecca English, you heard it here first. She is not to be trusted. She's a horrible person. And to think poor Harry thought that was his friend. Okay. Well, I think I made the point about the Oompa Loompas. I mean, look at that. Harry on official royal duty. How could he know? How could he know what was lurking beneath, those plain clothes that she wears, those nightmarish floral print dresses, those hideous outfits that she used to wear? Who knew what was behind that? You don't want to know what was behind it? Oompa Loompas. That's who was behind it. A Oompa Loompress. Okay. All right. Well, I think you got the point. Okay. Let me continue here. Now, this gentleman enlightened us about all of those articles on Meghan in just one day. Remember that? Well, fortunately, we have a chance to see. Gosh, how many is that? Okay. So, Edwin Hayward, all their Christmases have come at once for the industrial grade hate merchant at the Express. Break out the champagne. Harry and Meghan are coming back to the UK. The Express is running 33 headlines on its front page about them right now, mainly spiteful, rapid attacks. And of course, the only I'm trying to think, they were the record holder when the Sussexes was at Frogmore every day. And this is something that I can say to you guys. but you won't hear the press say this to anyone. The problems with the Sussexes, or the perceived so-called problems with Harry and Meghan's popularity in those emotional support polls, is that they were designed. Those polls were designed, those questions were placed for the benefit of the rest of the royal family. Because if you ask those same questions about Harry and Meghan, I wonder, do they actually mention the fact that Harry and Meghan no longer carry out any official royal duty? Now, you would think everyone knows that, but they don't. There are people who think that the Sussexes aren't even royal anymore, that they don't have a right to use their styles, their official styles. And so, you know, there are times when they place these questions to the whoever they survey, but believe me, they're practically screaming, they're no longer members of the royal family. They were stripped of their titles. They accused the whole country of being racist. And so not only are they given misleading questions, but they're probably stoking up hostility at the same survey. That's why you can't trust those. Harry said practically every place he goes, the first question people ask, where is the princess? Is Meghan with you? Where's the princess? Really? Okay, got another soundbite as per usual. We will talk about it on the other side. Sunshine on the water looks so lovely. Sunshine in my eyes could make me cry. All right, I got it. No, I don't. Here it comes. No, that's not it. Why did I look there? Hold on a second. Ready? Here we go.
Pay for it. I know this is going to be a controversial point of view.
Oh, you know what? It's not ready. Hold on. Here we go. Here we go. Now, the one that's talking is the guy of African descent.
I think we should pay for it. I know this is going to be a controversial point of view, but at the end of the day, Prince Harry is the son of the king. His children are the grandchildren of the king, and that puts them at an intense level of risk. And yes, Meghan, having married into that family situation, is also put at a lot of risk as well. And if we're paying for security for Liz Truss, which we are, how can we say the king's son and grandchildren don't get taxpayer-funded security?
No, I disagree with you heavily on this, Albie. On one hand, you talk about the number, right? What's an extra 5 billion here, there? We're already paying for 9 prime ministers, by the way, in terms of all the fully round-the-clock security.
9.
Nine at the moment. 9
yeah.
are being.
And that was only brought in that thing. Sorry, well, there's a money thing. I think it's 160,000 a year, and the money it was brought in because they were Thatcher had nothing. She was going to become an backbench MP, having done 11 and a half years. So they thought, we'll get her something. They didn't foresee Liz Truss doing 45 days and getting it.
But then actually, the bigger thing here, actually, because you talk about the politics, is when we look at security protection, on one hand, it's an independent committee, right? The Royal and VIP Exec Committee, who decides whether they should have that level of security. It's not a popularity contest. They're genuinely assessing the real threats.
Well, then you agree with Albie then?
No. I'm saying they said no so far. I say go ahead and review it. I don't think you're going to come out the other side. And I think they'll come out the other side and say, yes, they're not working royals. They don't plan to be working royals. They are clearly comfortable coming into the UK with that private security. They would, if you listen to anything Harry said over the last couple of years, he has been so concerned about the security for his family, so much so that I think if he was that scared now, he'd come back as a working royal.
I would think he's in a far greater risk in the USA. But we do not have
and he was
rifles here.
fine to pay for security there.
Yeah.
I think it's more than a principle. I think the right decision will be made.
Like, what's different about America is that he chose to go and live in America. So he went and moved to a different country, and it's not the responsibility of that country to pay his security. He comes back to the UK, and the reason why it's different is because his father is the head of state. God forbid the son of the head of state is assassinated, or the grandchild of the head of state is assassinated. That is a country destabilizing event. Yeah. And that is why it is different in the UK than it is in the US, because he, by accident of birth, is involved in the organs of the state.
Okay.
You know what? That is deliberately mashed up into a place where no matter what you say, there will always be a counterpoint that to some people will sound completely legitimate. Now, no offense to the lady in orange, but why is she there? Why is she there? First of all, I've never seen her before, and the points that she were making were absolutely silly. Absolutely silly. It's this whole kabuki theater, this stage performance that never yields any progress. This is not helpful at all. Everybody knows that Harry is the son of the sovereign. Everybody knows that he is way up there. He's within the top 5 in terms of in line for the throne, right? Also, there's the extra added consideration that until his nephew is 21 years of age, Harry would be the likely regent. He would be the likely regent. And where that's concerned, that would put him further up the chain still, should there be some horrendous tragedy. And I don't know how old George is, but I think he's got about 9 years before he's 21 years of age, something like that. So Harry would likely be a regent should something happen to William. And as regent, if there were, let's say, some catastrophic event where they were just trying to take down the royal family, right? God forbid that should ever happen. But if that were to happen, then of course, as I just said, Harry would possibly be a regent. He would definitely be targeted. He would definitely be a target for that reason. So this is a ridiculous argument. This whole thing about him bringing his own security, we know that his security is not armed and they're not plugged into the intelligence from the government. So where that's concerned, his security would definitely be lacking. And then for no apparent reason, but we said so because we say so, he's not allowed to pay for government security, even though other people already have. Okay? And then, okay, let me just stop talking about that and get to the whole point. If Harry and Meghan, or if Harry, Meghan, and the children are ever zipping through the countryside in a Range Rover that says "Do not follow," strobing on the back window, and has those lights flashing and everything, then that means that at a glance, Harry would be equal to his brother and his sister-in-law and to the what's those people, the Edinburghs. They use a lot of police escorts. That means he would be seen as an equal to them, and they do not want that. They do not want the flashing lights. They do not want the fuss of security. They do not want barriers restricting people from approaching. They don't want any of that stuff because it makes the Sussexes look too official, too elevated. And they do not want that. That is the main thing that they want to avoid. They don't give a crap about the money. Obviously not. Look at how many former prime ministers they're protecting. But it is the idea of elevating their status, a visual cue that demonstrates that they are all of that and then some, that bothers them. The fact that Harry laid a wreath at Arlington Cemetery and William did not, that's a problem. Harry goes to Jordan, that's a problem. Harry goes to Kiev, that's a problem. Because Harry is being received as though he was a head of state. And the person who is not getting that treatment is William. Not because he wouldn't get it, he doesn't want it. And just like that silly bunny, that incident of childhood, he don't want it, but he don't want Harry to have it either. Nothing has changed in the past, 40 years. He doesn't want it for himself, and he certainly will not tolerate it for Harry. And that is what's eating him. And so they use that term rival court, just to scare people or to alarm people. I guarantee you, when this is all over with, Harry's not going to be sitting on top of $1 billion duchy. And then I was listening to Spaces on the Twitter, X formerly known as Twitter, and somebody said, well, you do know that if Charles goes down in that storm cellar, my words, not theirs, but if Charles ends up in that storm cellar anytime soon, then William, are you ready for this? William will have power over not one, but two duchies. $2 billion duchies. He will have full control over the Duchy of Lancaster and full control over the Duchy of Cornwall. Those are billion-dollar corporations. A real estate portfolio, commercial spaces and rental properties and cottages and crap. Stadiums, warehouses, seabeds, and God knows what else. So he will have control of two of them. But should something happen to William and a regent is required for George, then that means that Harry would have control of two duchies. He would be the one taking direction from the British government. George would reign, but Harry would actually administrate, would guide, would train until he is considered old enough to reign on his own behalf. So just give them the security. It should not even be a question. Just give them the damn security. I don't even know why we're still having this conversation. It is so necessary. And perhaps the prime minister, the newly placed prime minister, maybe they have shared an opinion, even though they don't get to say, but maybe the new prime minister has shared an opinion or a concern. I'm just saying maybe. But maybe they'll do the right thing. And it's the urgency is now. But this poor girl here on the left side, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? She doesn't need to be there. She doesn't seem to be very knowledgeable. I'm sorry, she does not seem to be very knowledgeable. Now, you're going to love this one too. I guarantee you're going to love this. Let's talk on the other side.
What a load of guff. I mean, I've never heard such nonsense. There is a cost of living crisis. Energy prices are through the roof. Immigration is at an all-time high. NHS waiting lists are high. The Strait of Hormuz is closed. And all the news channels are dedicated to two private individuals coming home with their children. It is not news. It is nonsense.
Well, it is obviously news.
Well, it's news in the sense that we're interested in it. We're interested in it. But you said they hate this country. There's no evidence of that. This is just rubbish from the Sun. Summit, it's August. The royal family go to Balmoral en masse every August. They have done since Queen Victoria's time. That is our summit. That is, oh dear, we're on holiday and Harry's coming home.
Why didn't he tell them?
I have no idea why he didn't tell them, if indeed we know that they didn't tell them.
It seems to be being reported.
It's being reported. Lots of things being reported that aren't true.
Well, we checked it. We checked it with the.
It says you're good looking on the internet. I mean, there's lots of reporting that is nonsense.
Thank you.
This is.
I'm so sorry. The tone of this is awful. It's kind of pitchy. Let me see if I can find another one, because that one is kind of pitchy, and I don't like the way it sounds.
Okay. Right. I mean, first of all, your introduction, the last hour, what a load of guff. I mean, I've never heard such nonsense. There is a cost of living crisis. Energy prices are through the roof. Immigration is at an all-time high. NHS waiting lists are high. The Strait of Hormuz is closed. And all the news channels are dedicated to two private individuals coming home with their children. It is not news. It is nonsense.
Well, it is obviously news.
Well, it's news in the sense that we're interested in it. We're interested in it. But you said they hate this country. There's no evidence of that. This is just rubbish from the Sun. Summit, it's August. The royal family go to Balmoral en masse every August. They have done since Queen Victoria's time. That is our summit. That is, oh dear, we're on holiday and Harry's coming home.
Why didn't he tell them?
I have no idea why he didn't tell them, if indeed we know that they didn't tell them.
Well, it seems to be being reported.
It's being reported. Lots of things being reported that aren't true.
Well, we checked it. We checked it with the.
It says you're good looking on the internet. I mean, there's lots of reporting that is nonsense.
Thank you.
This is the way it is with these newspapers. They are just souping it up enormously, because where would they be without these couple to report on? So if you take the Sun, it is not a summit. They are just on holiday.
If you
take, hang on, let me go through this rubbish. Let me go through this rubbish.
Of the freedom flight.
No. Let me just right.
Freedom.
Let's go through these papers very quickly. Right. The Sun. It is not a summit. The Daily Mail. Sussex security costs could cost the taxpayers £5 million a year. Could. That is not actually news. That's could. King puts William first. Yes, he's first in line to the throne. That's the King's job. Thank you very much, The Times. Very useful there. Sussex fly back, the end of I says, without a deal for taxpayer-funded security. Great, that's brilliant. It means they're probably paying for it themselves. And then, thankfully, we have to rely on The Guardian, of all things, to actually report news, ladies and gentlemen. That's your front pages.
Okay.
Wow. I tell you, you have to listen close, but he had some business to handle. So he says, how come he didn't tell the king? He said, I don't know why he didn't tell the king. How do we know he didn't tell him? And so the guy on the left says, well, it's been reported. He said, it's been reported that you're good looking, but that's not true either. So how do we know? And it was off to the races from there. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. But it is the best possible way for these panels to work. and that is demand that they explain why are they saying these things as though they are factual. It's been reported. There's a lot of things that are reported, but that doesn't make it true. And of course, it was some other point that he made, and that their security could cost £5 million a year. Could is not the same as will. Will cost £5 million means that you know how much it costs, but could cost £5 million, then that means that it's probably not true. That is someone just taking a guess. It could cost £1 billion a year. It could be an infinitesimal amount of numbers, none of which is the truth. I think in all likelihood that it would be more like, I'm going to say up to £3 million a year, to the likes of which the Sussexes would gladly submit a check to the Treasury to offset the cost of their security. And they just simply will not allow it. So the son of the sovereign is not allowed security because of a very vindictive royal household, whoever was responsible for that canceling of their security. But it obviously was someone being vindictive. And then, of course, the push for the price of security. How many other public officials do they have this debate about who's going to pay for it?
I think it's about.
I can't really think of any. I cannot think of any. This seems to be the reserve of the Sussexes. How much is that going to cost? Oh my goodness, you know what? I'm done. That was my last slide. I didn't realize it. Wow, I'm confused. I guess that was the last slide. Yeah, it is. Well, that was fast. Well, not really. It's been almost 2 hours. But anyway, there you have it. Now, I just came across, let me see if I can find that.
The last hour.
It's keeping you busy, Cameron.
But would you like to come? But my feeling is that they're out to destroy.
Would you like to come back to our?
The wife successfully.
I thought I just saw Jobo, Robert Jobson. I thought I just saw him somewhere. And now I don't see it. Yeah, unfortunately, I do not see it. Oh, well, I would gladly share it with you, but I've lost it. Lex says someone leaked Harry and Meghan coming back, and then the British media fills in the blanks. Harry and Meghan haven't announced anything. Remember, the taking away of security and accommodations in July, only after confirmation from Harry and Meghan. Absolutely. That is the exact order in which it happened. Someone was trying to sabotage things. Yep, someone was trying to sabotage. Oh, well. Anyway, thank you so much for the super chat, Legs. Let's see. KP and Buckingham Palace needs a distraction from their duchies, so they leak this. The British media needed a distraction because of Jason Arday, so they all leaked the Sussex's info. Thank you so much for the super chat. But yeah, it does make for a great distraction. I won't argue with you there. It seems to have a curing, healing effect for a lot of things that may be ailing Britain. I wonder how the I know the old prime ministers, they are in all likelihood using, oh, never mind. Let me see here. Let me see if I can find that thing with Jobo.
Yeah, but the British press is already preparing to blame Meghan Markle for absolutely everything when they.
Okay, I got to share this one with you then. Let me get a screenshot of this young lady just for reference, so we'll know who's talking. And then I will share what she said about the British press trying to blame Meghan Markle for everything as per usual. Okay. All right, let me see if I got the picture. By the way, you guys, I've done my last slide, but I am going to hang out here for a moment or two. Well, that didn't come out like I wanted it to. Let me try to fix that. Oh, that's right, because I didn't fix it. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, so I have to do this. Oh, no, that looks good. Let me see. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, let me try it again. Okay. Yes, there she is. So let me do this. And then I'll play this soundbite and we will talk on the other side.
Evil because she kept. Harry and Meghan haven't even moved back to the UK yet, but the British press is already preparing to blame Meghan Markle for absolutely everything when they do. They haven't publicly explained why they're moving back. Buckingham Palace hasn't commented, and we know very little beyond the fact that they're planning to live privately and their children will attend school here. But of course, an insider already knows that Meghan doesn't want to come back. Harry is miserable and he's issued her an ultimatum. How convenient. Before she's even arrived, they've already written the entire story for her. Harry wants to come home and she's the difficult wife resisting him. Their marriage is under pressure and the move is already causing problems. And if that story falls apart, don't worry, they'll just write another one. If Meghan chooses to stay private, then she'll be accused of refusing to embrace Britain. If she's seen in public, she'll be accused of chasing attention. If Harry reconciles with his family, then she's evil because she kept them apart for years. And if he doesn't reconcile, she's still the reason why. You get the point. Harry is a 41-year-old grown man who is perfectly capable of making his own decisions, but the press has spent years removing every single bit of responsibility from him because blaming the black woman that he married sells more newspapers. Meghan can't ever win because she was never supposed to. They decided who she was years ago, and now they write every single story backwards to make Meghan fit it.
Okay. I like her. That is, let me see, what is her name? It's Lily. No, it's Livid. Liv Hope. Livid Hope. Okay. Okay, she's good. I like her. You guys, there's a lot of people out here that are, you know, calling out the press for the, for the Sussexes. Unfortunately, this means that all of the Sussexes info will be leaked. There are leaky faucets everywhere in the UK. That's why the British media are happy. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, it is a quite a bit of damp. People have quite a bit of damp in their saloons and in their public spaces. Quite a bit of damp. Okay. All right, girl, you go ahead. As a matter of fact, I really should have been doing this for the last few people. Okay. Let me see. Okay, I think we'll say goodnight then. Thank you all so much for stopping by. Good morning for those that are starting their day. And remember, be aware of those Oompa Loompas. All right, I'm just looking at your last comments here. Praying that nothing changes with Netflix. I still want a polo documentary. That would be great, actually. Oh, thank you, Angela M. You can count on me for anything you choose. Da 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 da. There is no da 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 da. Still, I know you wonder why. Something. That Anita Baker song. I like that song. Khadijah, we're about to say goodnight, but thank you so much for being here. Okay. All right. See you guys next time.